Hi everyone, I'm Morten, Senior Support Consultant with the Customer Experience team here at ClickLearn. Welcome to our latest release notes for ClickLearn Attain. We're now at version 12.1.61.0. As always, your feedback has driven our improvements, making ClickLearn even more intuitive and robust. So here's what's new with the release. Recording enhancements. You will no longer be able to delete a folder if it contains a referenced recording. This should help keep project structure intact and reduce the risk of accidental data loss. And if you've experienced license errors with replay when you have on-premise setups, that issue's also resolved. I don't believe we have all that many on-premise setups, but there was an issue, so that's fixed. Recording editor updates. Notes added as the first steps now display sections correctly, regardless of where you insert them. We had an issue where if you right-click on the very first steps and you said insert before, and then you added a text block, it would go somewhere else in the document. So that's been fixed. Then we have fixed the summarization feature for secondary languages. It's now recognized properly, so no more confusion with the primary language. So basically, if I had a recording which was if I had English and then I had also German, let's say that. So I took the German part and I did a summary there. The localization would think it was English, even though it was actually written in German. So even though the AI correctly summarized in German, it would the localization would just mess it up. So that's been fixed. Then we fixed an issue where redacted areas briefly appeared as unblurred in the show me video when you moved between the steps. So now your sensitive information is protected again. Then we have some localization improvements. We have some UI bugs we've squashed to make the localization smoother and more consistent. Then we have some placeholder text in the translated dialog that now stays in your original language and won't get incorrectly translated. It's kind of funny because if you switch to English, it would say no translation needed. And if you clicked on translate, it would actually translate no translators needed into other steps. So it would totally mess up the recording. It's been fixed. It's still a bit funny, but it's been fixed. Then we have some stability improvement for assets, which is super nice because now you can import a ton of assets at once. Either just directly from your PC, highlight a bunch of things you want to add to assets. That could be PDFs, PowerPoints, images, could be MP4 files, whatever you want. You can now add a bunch at the same time without Studio freezing when you do that. For the structure, now when you switch modules, it now stays in the correct language. So basically that means that if you're in your structure editor and you've selected German, right? If you then hop over to the recording tab and then switch back to the structure editor, it will then stay in German. It will not go back to English, for example. So that's been fixed. But now when you share a structure or section by email, it won't have the open recordings button. There was a mistake on our end. It's been removed. So you can now use that feature again. And if you don't know what I mean, basically this is when you have, how you can right click any recording and say share, right? You can also do that in your structure. So you could say, you could share like a section or a subsection or something like that. If you just want to quickly have someone review it, or if you want to refer them to it, it will create that temporary 30-day shared link that they can then access, right? Subsection sharing is now more reliable. We had an issue where it would just add a random recording to the subsection when you did. It doesn't do that anymore, so that's fixed. Then we have some publishing improvements. So when you cancel a production, it now displays an accurate status message, not a misleading one saying production completed. It was definitely not completed, it was actually canceled. So now that will accurately come across in a message. And authors can now produce without getting stopped by our content production is in progress error. So that won't hold you back anymore. We now validate emails during the permission configuration. So you know how when you're done producing your content and you define the publishing permissions, if you add like multiple emails, before you could add an email and you could type it wouldn't be case sensitive, right? So you can type all the small letters, and you could do like all caps, and it will actually add two different two of the same email, right? Which would completely mess up when it came to authenticating the user in the end. So that's been fixed. For settings, emojis are now restricted in project and project domain names for improved consistency. I don't know how someone managed to add an emoji in a project domain name. That's a little bit funny, but it's been restricted. I don't know if it's something we found or a customer found. I haven't heard about this before. It's hilarious. So you cannot do that anymore. Sorry. Default exclusion of steps has been added to the new recording steps and new recording steps after. That's now supported in the language template editor. And a shameless plug to my own YouTube video about this. You can find that up in the corner up here, where I go through what that actually does for you. So I'll just quickly show you in the studio. Coming into your settings for the projects, language settings, language template editor, go down to process instruction. And then when you come to new recording steps and new recording steps after, what you can now do, so let's say I have this structure going for me here. What you can now do when you have it down here, you can say, okay, well, the subchapter, I want to exclude that for the video, but the notes, I want to exclude those only for the written instructions, and the chapter, I want to exclude that for everything. I don't need that right now, for example. So you can like temporarily disable or enable it for either for specific content types or for everything, right? So you don't need to retype all this, because it takes a long time. Like if you have a lot of languages, typing all this stuff out takes a long time. So it sucks having to like delete it. So now we have an exclude option, and of course individual options for the different formats. So super awesome. Coming back to the release notes, we have released a new video skin, and it's now available for activation in the publishing template settings. And then we've resolved an issue that prevented saving the publishing template within a project. So basically when you were editing your project settings in the template, then you couldn't save it, which really sucks, because if you set it up from scratch, there's a lot of stuff you may want to change, and then it wouldn't save, but that's been fixed now. So let me just show you the new video skin. You come into your publishing template down here, and then you just choose the video. And over here in appearance, you can then say the old skin or the new skin, right? And the new skin, if you have used the UXP, you'll see how that looks. Changes here. And you'll see this looks much more modern, right? Look at this dynamic play button popping up and down. So you have skip. They have you muting. You can select the chapter index here. And of course you also had the playback speed, right? So if you want to listen to a chipmunk and you don't have so much time, you can do that as well. So super awesome. But you gotta enable it. It's not on by default. To have it affect your currently published content, of course you'd have to reproduce. So just go through that process. But if you enable it, it's gonna be the default. It even works for the preview as well, right? So if you have a recording here, click on preview, and you click on the video type here, then you'll also see the new player. There you go. For published content, blocked users are now fully restricted from viewing private content. We had a bug we discovered internally that would allow blocked users to view something. That's been fixed. Mac users, you can rejoice, because videos that you've embedded in your learning portal are now playable in Safari. So no more bugs there. I believe it was prompting to download, or it gave a script error. I don't remember, but at least it works now, so that's awesome. For UXP enhancements, the feature tours is now available in all supported languages, and it saves properly after edits. So if you're using the feature tours, which I would very much recommend, it's an awesome feature, you now have it in all languages, because as you know, the UXP is now multilingual, right? And the UXP dashboard is now even more robust and ready for multilingual teams. So basically in the dashboard, you now have multi-language support. And then we have issues with the PDF links opened via the Teams bot. That's been addressed, so you won't get any more no content found errors. I'll just show you the dashboard. So you come in here to dashboard. This is my UXP dashboard. And now I have a little drop down here for English or German in my case. And you can see there is some activity here in the German portal as well, right? So that's how you can switch between them. Then we have some APT updates. I know some people have been waiting for those. If you set the start of an iteration, it will now properly clear the previous iteration from your view. So yeah, that's now been fixed. Then the web restart functionality that works again in updated browsers. And the studio won't crash anymore when you try to click on a screenshot in the variable settings dialog, which is very helpful for APT, because there's something you use a lot, right? Like you use the screenshot to scrape your data and select where the variables goes and stuff like that. So that's been fixed. Then we have some portal updates. Authors will now only see projects which they have access to in the published content area, and that increases the privacy and focus. So basically, when you come into to ClickLearn, you come down here at settings and you go to published content. The author can only see the projects that are that they have access to, right? So if they're in the team, they can then see them. Navigated from published content to recordings after download now works seamlessly, and it didn't give any blank error messages. So basically, when you went into published content where I just was, and you are downloading something, and then you go back to one of the tabs, it would give you an error message. That's been fixed. So very niche little bug, but it was appearing for some people, so that's no longer there. And the save button in group permissions is now properly enabled, so it doesn't show you an error when it shouldn't. So basically, you were able to click on save even though there was nothing to save, which would give you some problems, right? That's been fixed now. So our connector updates, as you know, the new ClickLearn version doesn't specifically affect the connector updates, but we're going to mention them anyway. The connector updates are pushed out through the API for your browser extension. So we've had some updates for finance and operations and SAP and IFS. We have some Gantt chart support in IFS. Now, as a big thing, we've added support for Cervix Max recordings in Salesforce. So that will further broaden your automation capabilities. And with that being said, I just want to say thank you for your ongoing feedback and support. If you have any questions, comments, or need assistance, we're always here to help you. And we'll see you in the next update. Thank you.